Hey everyone, Spun here again, and today I'm going to talk about a beginner guide into my main weapon, the Greatsword. Hopefully, you've had a chance to play around with some of the weapons so far in Monster Hunter Wilds and you've been enjoying it. The Greatsword is a little bit of a slower but high output damage weapon that really relies on timing and positioning. Now, the main attack that you'll use for it is the True Charge Strike, which throughout this video and in other videos you'll hear me refer to it as the TCS. Now, that attack has 3 levels to it, and depending on which move sets you do and which combinations that you choose, you can optimize that by going right to that maximum level and just doing the most amount of damage that you can. Now, I'll talk a bit more about that after, but there's also some other features that mirror other weapons throughout the game. Now you have guard clashes that you can achieve with either a gun lance or sword and shield or things like that. Or there's also the offsets that you may have experienced with switch axe or insect glaive or something like that. So all of these additions have really brought in some new changes in playstyle to the way that we play Greatsword. So these changes really allow you to, or me personally anyway, stay in the fight a lot longer without having to pull back or recharge stamina or anything like that. And, another thing that they added in for all weapon classes is the focus strikes. As a key mechanic within Monster Hunter Wilds, it allows you to kind of, slow things back down again, do a high amount of damage, and then right here, just go directly into another TCS level 3. So that's another, whenever you pop one of those wounds, using a focus strike, then you'll have that opportunity to go right into that TCS 3 and do as much damage as possible. So, as I said with the TCS, it's just your normal, overhead attack. So the first time you use it, that's your level 1, and you can hold the attack button to charge your weapon a few times, as you can see. And then here's the level 2, and then if you hold the attack button again, you'll go into the level 3 TCS, obviously doing the most amount of damage. So the faster we can get through that with other combos will just allow you to optimize that level 3 TCS and do as much damage as possible. As you can see, there's some other movements here. That's your other kind of side attack. And then here is kind of like a roll into a tackle. So whenever you use that tackle function, you can kind of stun monsters when they're attacking you, or if you're already in a mid swing, you can do it, which will bring you into that level 3 TCS, as I was mentioning. So by tackling forward while you're holding that charge attack, as you can see here, it just jumps right back into a TCS level 3. Using that as much as possible will obviously increase the output of the maximum damage you can do. The next thing I want to talk about is guarding. So as I mentioned before, with gun lance and sword and shield, Greatsword does have the ability to guard. By using the sword to block enemy attacks, it's relatively easy to do. You just hit the guard button, and even if you're coming off of an attack or out of a roll, it's easy to do anytime in the fight in order to do that. And as you can see, it can block quite a bit of damage and even stop a potential one-shot attack from killing you. And similar to what I mentioned before as well, timing that perfectly on an enemy attack will start this little cinematic of a guard clash, which can't happen all the time. It's almost like it's a build-up meter, but it will happen multiple times per fight, especially depending on how many times you're successfully hitting those perfect guards. But a great tool to stay inside that fight, and we'll get into the next one, which is offsets. Offsets. I can't say enough how much I love them and how much fun they are to pull off. So just by holding the two attack buttons for the rising slash, and you can charge it just like a TCS, but when you perfectly time it to parry the enemy, it does another little cinematic similar to the guard clash, followed up by a strong attack. Now, the combination of the guard clash, and now the offset, and the tackle into TCS level 3, it just allows you to really stay in that fight again and maneuver around the monster as much as possible. Exposing those those wounds and doing those focus strikes. These are all just alternating kind of mechanics that just allow you to really do a lot of damage to the monster, and it really makes Greatsword a lot of fun. So, you know, the addition of offsets to me was a really exciting and fun thing with Monster Hunter Wilds that I really enjoyed with the Greatsword so far. You know, as you can see here, when you knock down Arkveld and then you follow it up with another attack, and you can do this 2 or 3 times per fight, sometimes even more, depending on the consistency that you have. So just a few more, you know, small attacks here. If you're attacking off of an aerial area or jumping off your Secret, you know, you can just hold down that R2 button and do a straight down attack like this, which is a great way to mount a monster if you're looking at ways to do that. Or, you know, similarly to the other ones, on the completion of one of these, you can follow it up with a TCS level 3 attack. So, you know, you come down like this, and then you can go right into TCS 3. Now, I'm not going to go too much into skills, but I will talk about some of the more essential ones to Greatsword. You know, I've been playing around a lot with a lot of different builds and a lot of different options, just to see what kind of works, what's fun. You know, status build-up weapons are really good in Wilds. But typically, you know, with Greatsword, you really want to maximize that attack output to get the most out of those big level 3 true charge strikes, or you know, those heavy hitting attacks. So with that comes like critical boost, you know, weakness exploit, agitator's great because the monster's often in a rage state, increasing that attack again. And same with the weapons that you craft, you know, trying to get as much of those attack bonuses that you can, and play around with it. You can see here, this is my other build where I have a dragon attack weapon, and you know, I like focus because it reduces the charge time of those charge attacks. But really, those are kind of some of those key things. Earplugs is another great one that just allows you to do a lot of damage. But play around with it. So whether you're new to Greatsword, or you know, you've played it before and you're jumping back in now with Monster Hunter Wilds, I hope this guide was helpful to you. And you know, have fun with it. You know, play around with these different moves. You know, try to execute those perfect guards and those offsets, and change up your builds. You know, if you want to try a status element weapon, make a status element weapon. Play around with different armor sets. See what skills kind of go with your playstyle. And, you know, I think as all these pieces start to come together, this weapon just becomes more and more exciting and more fun. Because you're able to stay in there longer, you're doing more and more damage, and, you know, those offsets are hitting, and it's just a great time. So as always, thanks for taking the time to watch this video. I hope it meant something to you, and you know, hope to see you out there in the wilds. Really looking forward to that new title update showcase. Lots to look forward to, and can't wait to see Mizu.